actually went to Brazil before. I went 2 years ago on the 2021 Brazil camp trip. And even during the trip, I knew I wanted to go back. While the training was amazing, beaches and food were amazing, I knew I wanted to go back on the trip because I was meeting people who I wanted to continue to have relationships with. So my whole goal in going back this year to Brazil was to continue to foster these relationships that spoke to me the first time around and try to connect with people a little bit better. The overall experience for the Brazil camp is difficult to sum up in a few words because there's just so much to every trip. I would, if I had to describe it as, one word, I would say the trip is very impactful. I think all of us who go on the trip come back with a moment that sticks out to us, whether it was something you experienced, something you saw, someone you talked to, or made a connection with that you take home with you and you remember and it has some meaning to you. And I think every person, it's individual for every person, but the trip itself, whatever your experience is very, very impactful. My whole goal in going back to Brazil this time was to connect to a woman I had trained with the first time. Her name is Carol. The first time I went to Brazil in 2021, we were both brown belts, and now we're both black belts. And the first time I went, we trained together a lot on the mat, but we didn't really have much conversation because we didn't understand each other. But during 2021, just training with her, I felt she had such a kindness and a strength that really lent to a leadership characteristic that I wanted to be a part of and I admired. So I wanted to make a deeper connection with her when I went. So it all comes back to this moment. Throughout the whole trip this year, I kept trying to find times to talk to her, but I was nervous because I don't speak Portuguese and I couldn't find the right opportunity. So one of the last nights there, she showed up at one of the Dream Road events and I grabbed her and we sat down on the edge of the mat and I got my phone out and we used Google Translate to have a conversation just about life and about the growing women's presence in her gym. And we just got to sit and talk, and that was my whole goal for going this trip. So that was probably the highlight of the trip for me. Probably one of the biggest overall experiences of the trip that I always take away, both times that I've gone now, is just the impact that you can see one individual, even if they do something small, the impact that they can have on somebody else's life. And then when you get a group of these individuals together under an organization like Dream Root, you can see how they can make a difference in an entire community's life. So that's always something I want to support and be a part of every time I go. To anyone going on the Brazil camp trip, I would say go into it with an open heart, be very flexible. Tony and Amy do an amazing job at planning the itinerary, planning the pacing of the trip, and then changing the plan to people's energies and needs and wants they want to experience. So go into it very flexible. Just accept whatever the trip may be. It'll be a wonderful trip.